Should you force a patina on your new carbon steel knife? What exactly is forcing a patina? Is it safe to do? Why should you do it, and how should you do it? It might be hard to believe, but taking that new shiny knife and adding some character can really have some long-term benefits, and it's pretty easy to do. Let's dive in. Forcing a patina on a knife blade may sound silly. I mean, after all, knife makers spend countless hours polishing and finishing these knives so they look their absolute best. But believe it or not, patinas can serve a really important purpose, like to protect the knife blade from oxidation, and it also gives a really unique appearance. See, the patina will also tell a unique narrative of your food story or your food journey to everyone that sees your blade. A knife used primarily on meats, for example, will have a thin translucent hue, while a vegetable knife will develop some more bold patches or stripes. It's important to note that water and moisture are your enemies, and carbon steel generally does discolor with acidic foods, and it just doesn't get along with onions for some reason. So it's important to get in the habit of carrying a kitchen towel and frequently wiping down your knife, regardless if you have a patina that has set in or not. But your carbon steel knife will develop a patina at some point, so please keep that in mind. It's the type of patina or oxidation that really matters. And that actually brings me to my next point or segment. Let's talk about patina. There's good oxidation, the type that happens naturally and provides a protective layer to your blade against bad oxidation, which also happens naturally, but generally bad oxidation has a dark brown color which eats away at your knife or your knife material. And you want to avoid the bad oxidation, the brown stuff, the bad stuff. We generally call it rust. So let's talk about a few ground rules we should discuss when you're following this video. Up front, forcing a patina is a very safe thing to do, but I caution you, take it slow. I'm going to show you some light, ease into it methods and a few accelerated methods, but those methods are a bit more for the experienced folks. And keep in mind, it can destroy your knife if neglected. Again, I really want to stress, always wash your knife after each forced patina session, and remember to be careful. You are handling a sharp object. Do not go to the ER over this. Please exercise common sense. Also, you don't need to force a patina. I want to stress this. If you're interested in forcing a patina, this is what this video is all about, but you don't need to force a patina, as it will occur naturally over time if you're patient. Okay, let's talk about some supplies you're gonna need. In order to force a patina, depending on the methods I'm gonna discuss in a little bit, you're gonna need a few basic supplies. Now, it's nothing too crazy, I promise you guys, and most of this stuff can be found at your home or in your pantry, so hopefully you have it. Now, obviously, you're gonna need your carbon steel knife. I recommend having some acetone or some alcohol or maybe even some Windex. And the main reason for that is if your knife is brand new and you need to clean it off, acetone, rubbing alcohol will do a good job of cleaning the surface down. You also want to grab some distilled white spirit vinegar. Any type, doesn't matter, any brand, but distilled white vinegar is going to be a crucial step in one of these methods. And then grab a paper towel. You can also get some spray bottles, but they are optional. And then also an optional thing is you can get a container the length of your knife if you want to do the more advanced method where you're going to submerge your knife. But again, that's optional as well. Okay, let's start off with the vinegar and paper towel method. This is also a simple method that allows for maximum control, but patience is required from you. You're gonna need to apply some vinegar a few times before you actually get the desired result that you want. Start off by washing your knife with soap and water. Remember, avoid the ER, you are handling a sharp knife. Grab some distilled white vinegar and apply it to the paper towel. Then brush that vinegar onto your blade. Try to avoid your handle. You don't want to get any vinegar on your handle. Some handles are made out of wood or other really nice materials, so just keep it to the blade. Let the vinegar sit on the blade for about 3 to 5 minute intervals. Keep an eye on your knife. You don't know how it's going to react with the vinegar. That's why I'm giving you a very generic 3 to 5 minute interval. Look at it. If you see it reacting faster, then obviously you might want to cut that down a bit. If it's taking a little bit more time, then you'll need more time. After that time's up and that interval is done, Then you want to wash the blade with water again, and then reapply the vinegar as needed until you get your desired results. When you're all done, wash your knife with soap and water and completely dry it off with a towel. I personally like to place my knives back on the magnetic strip and let them air dry. Make sure to check on your knife after about 2 hours of letting it dry. And if you're going to store your knife for a really long time, let's say you're forcing a patina, but you know you're not going to use your knife, make sure you apply some knife oil, okay? Add some lubrication and protect it. There's several things you can do to force the patina to form a little bit faster. One method is by actually warming up the vinegar. Do not let the vinegar dry on the knife, as it can cause rust spots. A really important thing to note: if your blade already has patina in some areas, those areas will continue to darken and be highlighted by almost all of these methods. So keep that in mind. If you already have some patina, you do any one of these methods, it's going to get darker, it's going to be highlighted. This method can also be used with mustard, tomato sauce, or even some mayo. I've seen people use mayo. But I think vinegar is probably the least messiest of the rest of the other methods, so I like the vinegar method, and it works really, really well. A more extreme method that will force the patina a lot faster is to submerge the knife in a large enough container filled with distilled white vinegar at about 2-minute intervals, rather than applying a coating on your blade. But please be careful with any one of these submerging methods that I'm going to recommend. Things can go south very, very quickly and you have a lot less control. Okay, let's talk about another method that's also sort of popular, but I don't personally use it, but I'll suggest it. It's called the instant coffee method. So why are you using instant coffee and not fresh coffee? Well, fresh coffee has way too much oil, and the instant coffee tends to force a better patina. This method is the preferred choice when a more even finish is desired. I've seen people also submerge their blade in a hot brewed coffee for like 1 or 2 minutes at a time. Always, make sure you do 1 or 2 minute intervals. But I personally think the instant coffee grounds work best. Grab some instant coffee, place it in a bowl, add some hot water, enough to keep the coffee grounds moist, and then grab a paper towel, scoop up some of that mushy coffee, and lightly apply it to your blade. Let it sit again for 3 to 5 minute intervals and then wash it off. Repeat until you get your desired patina. Like always, when you're done, wash your knife with some soap and water and completely dry it off. Again, a more extreme method that will force a patina faster is to have the instant coffee and water mixture in a large enough container, enough to submerge the blade of your knife only. You don't want to, mess up the handle. And then you guessed it. Submerge your knife into the mixture at 2-minute intervals, rather than applying a coating to your blade every single time. So I'm not going to continue subjecting my Bob Kramer to this kind of abuse, so I brought in a cheapy knife that I affectionately call the Stunt Double. This knife is stainless steel, and for demonstration purposes, it should be just fine. I was really happy with the forced patina on my Bob Kramer. Let's talk about what you can expect, some mistakes, and red flags. You should see some gradual discoloration. You will probably see some bubbles forming, but nothing crazy, nothing violent. This is not an organic chemistry class. Keep that in mind. You should not see any metal flaking or decay, and you should also not be seeing any dark rust spots forming. Now, some common mistakes that I see people doing is not properly rinsing their knives or leaving it submerged for way too long. For example, there was an online post where the guy's knife was completely eaten up, and I think the blade had some quality issues or the materials of the blade was in question. But the guy soaked his blade overnight in vinegar. I mean, you're soaking it in acid, so please keep that in mind. And if you went a little over and if you're seeing some dark brown rust, no worries. As long as it's surface rust, I can help you. I have a video on how to remove bad rust using 2 easy methods: a rust eraser and Barkeeper's Friend. And I'll link it here if you're interested. Forcing a patina is easy to do, and it's a great way to help the good oxidation process happen a little bit faster. Forcing a patina will also help develop character and protect your knife from the bad oxidation that we commonly know as rust. proper care and maintenance is still required, so please keep that in mind. You should get in the habit of carrying a towel, as I mentioned earlier, and frequently wiping down your carbon steel knife, regardless of if a patina has been formed or not. Also keep in mind, you don't have to force a patina. I really want to stress that. I'm not trying to, get more views or anything like that. If you don't want to do this, you don't have to. And honestly, it's going to happen naturally over time. If you're patient, it happens to all carbon steel knives. Now, this is very particular to carbon steel knives. If you have a full stainless steel knife, you have nothing to worry about. Stainless steel will naturally resist rusting, so you're good to go. But you should still maintain those good habits of frequently wiping down your expensive knives. Either way, if you decide to force a patina or not, your knife is going to be unique to you and a beautiful thing to pass down to your loved ones one day, if you choose to. That's it for me, guys. I'll catch you on the next video.